Today's MTR Network offering is brought to you by Daniel Palmer, OnQ.com. Are you still renting? What are you waiting for? OnQ Financial can make it faster and easier to get you out of that apartment and into a new house. Best of all, you may not need perfect credit or much money out of your pocket. That's right, you can get into a new house for low money down. You couldn't move into an apartment that cheap. You would need first month's rent, last month's rent, and a security deposit just to have the chance to make your landlord rich. Wouldn't you rather invest in yourself and your future? At OnQ Financial, our goal is to go above and beyond to assist in structuring a loan program at a competitive rate with a smooth and seamless experience to help you reach your dream of homeownership. Visit DanielPalmerOnQ.com and find out how to get on the right track to get out of that apartment and into the home your family deserves. Find out how easy it can be by going to the website, filling out a few short forms, and telling us exactly what you want that new house payment to be, and we'll do everything we can to make the dream of homeownership a reality. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. So find out how to get to yes at DanielPalmerOnQ.com. This is not an offer for extension of credit or commitment to lend. Some restrictions may apply. OnQ Financial, Inc. is an equal housing lender, NMLS number 5645, license GA 22050. Welcome back to the Unanimous Decision Podcast. I am your host, DPalm. Follow me on Twitter at DPalm66. Follow the show on Twitter at UDPod. Follow the entire MTR Network at the MTR Network. You found us. Don't you dare lose us. Subscribe in the iTunes Store. Subscribe on Spotify. Subscribe everywhere your podcasts are given away for absolutely free. And I have a little bit of an ask for you. Oh, trusty listener. Do me a huge favor. Go to iTunes. Select that 5-star review and leave one. You don't have to say anything. If you want to say something, I will read it on the air. But I've seen the stats. There's more than 20 of you motherfuckers listening to this show. So it's about time you guys put on for me and let me get these 5 stars in 2019. New Year's resolution, 5 stars. And if you're saying, wait, D-Palm, you stole that from Rod and Karen, you're goddamn right I did. They're smarter than me. They're better than me. And the good ideas we're stealing. Now, it's our second episode of 2019, and I don't want to rush anyone into anything too fast, but let me not lampshade this. The guest today is our editor-in-chief, Kriss. What up, Kriss?
I'm a little upset that you didn't offer me like Big Macs or anything.
Kriss, we're gonna get to that. I need you not to bring it up. Like I will tell you when it's time to talk about that.
I'm just saying a nigga's a little hungry and a nigga could use a snack. I'm just saying.
What y'all don't know is that this podcast is brought to you in whole, not in part, in whole. And I want to make sure I get the name of this right. The podcast is brought to you by Zofran. And if you don't know what Zofran is, congratulations. You've lived a very, very causative life. Zofran is a medication that when you're vomiting, it doesn't make your stomach feel better, but it makes your brain stop firing the ability to vomit. I've been riding this bad boy for 2 days. This shit's a miracle drug. If you've never been on chemo or a pregnant woman, you never heard of it. It's gotten me through the last 2 days. I'm here under great duress. This is my flu game. And it's going to be the best podcast ever because Kriss, I guess before we even get to the sports, man, I want to talk about the network. And trust me, we're going to get into the sports and the foods and all that fun stuff.
I mean, I'm just saying good because the nigga's hungry. Just a nigga could use a fillet of fish.
I have not had a morsel of food since Thursday night. Do not talk to me about food.
Maybe you should head into the White House then. You would have all the food you could ask for.
Do you want to record this or not? Like, I'm going to be sick.
I'm sorry.
So let's stop playing for 2 seconds. Kriss, talk about 2019, MTR Network. I know things are changing. Things are moving quickly. I'm going to talk about the next show we're doing after this, but tell us more about what's coming with the network now.
Oh, no. I mean, we just got let's see. So the Insanity Chick is going to only 2 times a month, but that's not because, it's really because we have so much other content coming out. So Koki and P-Funk are doing the science show. Our science team are doing molecules and shit now on every other week. If there's a weekend that doesn't have an Insanity Check, you're going to get molecules and shit. We also have Ro is going to be if you've been listening to our movie reviews, she's been joining Phenom and I, Brandon and I, on our reviews, and she'll be having a book review show that's coming out and actually in a couple weeks. I think that's happening here. So there's a couple other things too we're not ready to announce yet, but yeah, just I guess the long and the short is there's a lot of shit coming out on the network. So
there's a lot of shit coming out on the network, and something else that's coming out on the network is if you followed me on social, particularly my Instagram or Facebook, you've noticed that I've started merging the 2 things I do the most. So for those of you who don't know, when I'm not talking about sports or comic books, I work in the mortgage industry. It's a big passion of mine, putting people in houses. It's a fun thing to do, and so we're actually going to record right after this episode our first MTR monthly mortgage minute. And that's continuing my branding from what you've seen on Instagram, but it's going to be obviously longer than a minute, and it's going to have me talking with someone who's been part of the industry, kind of educating people about the scary world of mortgages, because it's one of those things that I kind of take for granted because it's my job, but I do realize that mortgages are scary. Mortgages are something that it's kind of the boogeyman that we don't really talk about. And so I figured that the best way to get the conversation going was to have people on, and our first guest is going to be Kriss, because Kriss just sold his first house. He's building a new home, and we're going to be talking about that when it drops on Wednesday. But we're here today, and I want to let y'all on a secret. I have a whole format, and normally I throw these shits out when Kriss is on because we just go everywhere. Donald Trump, I keep calling this guy sports, whatever. Donald Trump invited the Clemson football team to the White House tonight. And we're going to talk about the game because I came on this podcast and I told you guys that Bama was going to win, and I'm going to talk about the game in a second. But before we talk about the game, let's talk about who the real winner is, because we can say Nick Saban lost. You can say that. You can say that the Crimson Tide took a massive L on that Monday night. You'd be correct. However, on this Monday night,
he might have lost the battle, but I think they won the war, yo.
Nick Saban undefeated, y'all. Like,
I think they won the
sorry.
war.
If you guys haven't seen this, by the time this goes live, like the pictures will be everywhere. Because of the government shutdown, it doesn't even make any sense. All right. Because of the government shutdown, allegedly, Donald Trump, the messiest president in American history, I stand by that. I don't care who you got, has invited the Clemson football team to the White House and fed them cold McDonald's and cold Wendy's. He's got platters out for the sauces and gravy boats for the dippings. Kriss, is this making America great?
I just have so many questions because, first of all, I never knew that. Is this normally how fast that they invite like the winning college football team? Because it was just last week, and usually there's like a month. Usually there's a while before they get all that together. So I just assumed that with the government shutdown, that there was no way they were going to move forward with bringing the Clemson, the winner of the college football, championship, to the White House.
Well, and that's been weird for me too, because you're right. It only takes more time. I was thinking the playoff format, maybe the later time, the schedule got compressed. But you're right. This is, by the way, just super fucking weird that a week later he has to have them there, especially when you look at the teams he didn't invite or disinvited. But he was so sure that Dabo and his boys would show up, and they did, to eat their cold McDonald's by candlelight, by candelabra,
and Wendy's. And they had pizza. So let's not disparage him. Like, Trump went the whole $200 date and gave them all the fast food they could eat. But here's my thing too, yo. And this is why I think it feels like it was a rushed last minute deal. Because even if this is the case, right? Even if he was like, I'm gonna pay out of the pocket. Even if that's the case, take the food out of the wrapper. Take the McDonald's, take the Big Mac out of the box.
So now you're touching on
the
why
platter.
This much of this food. So apparently, from what I've been reading, he likes fast food because he's always worried about being poisoned, which is a weird thing to be worried about if you don't put yourself in a position to be poisoned. I think that he didn't unwrap the food so the kids would know that they weren't being poisoned, except for the fact that it's McDonald's and Wendy's. And that these kids at Clemson have executive chefs who prepare all their meals, who tell them what to eat and what not to eat. And guess what this shit is? This is what not to fucking eat.
I don't know. Did you see the one video where I swear to God, even some of the players are like, "Yo, I thought it was a joke." Like, I
have not seen the videos of the players. I've been sleeping before this podcast, but I did see the video of him like bragging about the McDonald's. He was like, "Look at it." Someone said it was the happiest he's been since the inauguration.
I just, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like you said, Nick Saban won. Because now you go on to recruit next year and you go, hey, we lost. But at least it wasn't McDonald's.
Well, that's called foresight, baby. That's called foresight. I'm going to read the transcript from this morning when he first said it. And I don't think anyone really thought he was serious this morning. Clemson championship team, the national championship team, will be coming in tonight. And it'll be very exciting. Very great team, unbelievable team. They'll be coming in tonight. This is how he talks. I'm reading a transcript. And I think we're going to serve McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger Kings with some pizza. I really mean it. It will be interesting. And I would think that's their favorite food. So we'll see what happens. But they're coming tonight, the national champions, subject to weather.
So, yeah, one of the kids, you hear them in the video go, I thought it was a joke. And so even the players didn't know. And you can see as they're going through getting the food, they're kind of like, are you fucking serious right now? Did you really just give us
So much has been made about how classy and nice Dabo is. If I'm Dabo, we going out somewhere else afterwards.
Well, you got to, though. You got to eat afterwards, right? You can't.
You don't have a choice. He's putting you in a position to make him look bad. You have a responsibility to these players to make sure that this is not the food they eat tonight.
The players put on suit jackets.
These niggas are wearing jackets from McDonald's, and that's the funniest thing in the world.
Wait,
that is the single funniest good goddamn thing in the world, Kriss.
They got suit jackets, and they're eating McDonald's by candlelight.
And the thing is, so I know the White House staff is furloughed. Who's lighting the candles? Because I watched some dude light the candles. Are you lighting those candles for free, sir? Sir, are you lighting those candles for free?
Yo, I guarantee you know what you're going to find out is something like Trump's personal staff.
Ooh.
I guarantee you're going to find it's something like that.
And that's the other thing that got me is he was bragging like, I'll pay for it out of my own pocket. Motherfucker, it's $1 menu. I saw what you ordered. Those fries were smalls.
Somebody calculated it was like it's $178 worth of food.
That's not funny. Stop that. That's a bad Uber Eats order after a bunch of you go out drinking one night.
But here's the real concern for the players. Now I really am concerned for their health because somebody else somebody who's in this area and other people who are in the DC area were like, all right, cool, but like, what McDonald's did you order that food from? Because if you ordered that shit from certain McDonald's.
Because no matter where you are locally listening to this, you know the good McDonald's.
And
you know it. You're listening right now and nodding because there's no assurance that Donald Trump knows which McDonald's is the good.
Oh, he definitely does not know what the good McDonald's is. So they ordered the Wendy's and the McDonald's, and I'm like, which one did you guys order from? Because and I said this so Donald Trump called it great American food, and here I am mixing my stuff, and I know Deepalm's gonna groan. He's probably looking at the podcast when I said this, but I was like, with great food comes great diarrhea. Must also come great diarrhea.
I would get mad at that joke, but he did it. Like it's a joke if it's not real, but it's real, and we're here now, and we're in a world where he said, "I'm going to go spring for this $100-200 worth of fast food." Meanwhile, there are actual restaurants in DC who could have used this money.
Well, that's a crazy. Again, there are plenty of restaurants he could have gone to cater this event. Even last minute. If
I'm a restaurant in DC and you're like, yo, we're going to cater an event at the White House in 12 hours, I'm like, bet we got this. Let's go.
It's not that hard to do. And he didn't do that. He went with McDonald's, Wendy's, and pizza. But again, it shows you just how fucking insane this whole thing is. I mean, are we really shocked because it's Donald Trump? No, this is the food he eats. He thinks this is good food. Remember, this is a dude who eats a well done steak with ketchup.
Kriss, I'm already sick. Kriss, I'm already sick, please.
I'm just saying, this is a dude who eats a well done steak with ketchup. He doesn't know he doesn't know what fine dining is. Like he is the definition. I hate to say this, he is the definition of white trash. He just has a lot of fucking money, and you're seeing it right here. He thinks this is somebody pointed out, this is a Ricky Bobby dinner, family dinner, yo. It's a Ricky Bobby it literally is a Ricky Bobby family dinner, yo.
This is it. Like, so you and I have, like, and listen to any of the shows we've ever been on together, you and I have been kind of like amazed at what's happened with his election and whatnot. This might be the low point. Like, this might be the one where America turns on him. Like this, not fences for not cages for kids, not a border wall, not a government shutdown, not a Russian asset. Giving the Clemson football team. Meanwhile, there are South Carolina fans who are like, they got what they fucking deserved because that's how that state runs, and I get that, and that's fine. However, slapping Clemson, like Dabo Swinney is so goddamn likable that I had to come to grips with the fact that he's going to be a literal college football god for the rest of my life. and I can't stand his ass. He goes by Dabo. He's a grown-ass man. We'll talk about the game in a second, but I do want to finish up here. Kriss, what if you were on this team, or if you were part of the 76-member staff that came with them, and you know how you train, how this team works, what do you consider safe to eat at that table?
I mean,
because you can't be rude. Like, walking around with an empty plate is fucking rude. Like, I know that, like, we can joke all we want. They will eat. Someone has to eat something.
I mean, apparently everything, because the kids are not eating. So apparently the staff does. Here's the other thing too, and here's the problem. It's hard for me to say, because I'm like, yo, what restaurant did this food come from?
That's fair.
The staff doesn't know. So as far as the staff goes, well, it's like, well, is it safe as it's going to be, eating any kind of McDonald's or Wendy's? Me, on the other hand, goes, yeah, because there's another thing too. Depending on who made the call. All right, cool. We need you to cater an event. First of all, I want to know. So did Secret Service vet?
This is the other thing. Where did you say it was going?
I have so many questions.
Because if you're like, if I work at McDonald's, you're like, this is for the White House. I'm like, he's getting all the spit.
Exactly. No, because I know where some of those restaurants are from, and there's no way you can tell them niggas that food's going to the White House and it not be on some I'm just saying, I don't know what they did here, and I don't know how it worked. I have so many questions of the logistics behind this whole thing.
The food that comes in has to be vetted by, you're right, it has to be looked at and vetted by Secret Service members and sent to the food. So this food's all been, at the very least, reheated.
Oh yeah.
This is all bad.
That's all bad. But here's the thing that gets me about reheating it, right? So you reheated it, but then why'd you put it back into the boxes? Why not just put it on the platters? So then it makes me go, did they Cause here's the other thing too. It's like, did they really vet it? Because now I'm wondering if Trump paid for it out of his own pocket, and if that's his own staff serving the food, and knowing how Trump bucks to traditional things of what you're supposed to do, it would not put it past me if Secret Service did not vet the food.
I mean, how many Secret Service members I say, yep, another one with spit. I'll stop looking at it. Look, more spit. This is great.
Do you have a wand for that? I don't know. I don't know. I have so many questions about what happened here. It just, none of it makes sense. None of it's good. And look, if we hear stories 3 days from now about sick Clemson players, we know where it came from.
Because I'll tell you one thing, college kids will roast you.
Oh no!
I don't care how well disciplined Dabo keeps his kids. The stories are coming out.
Oh no! Because again, when you watch the videos of the kid, they're just like one of the dudes had his phone out, and I could tell he was either Snapchatting it or was videoing it himself. So we're going to get some stories, guys. It's gonna happen. Yeah. Oh, this beautiful.
This is my flu game, and it's also the best episode I've ever recorded. I'm so happy. But we don't know how the hell this food got there, but let's talk about how the team got there. I don't know if you watched it, but Clemson, they took Alabama, put him in a rug, and threw him in the river. It was an ass-kicking of epic proportions. They won, I believe the final was 44-16. Bama was done scoring after the first quarter. And if you were one of those people like myself who was just used to Bama running roughshod over people, this was not that. This was a systematic destruction of Bama. And I've heard a lot of people say, well, that's it for the Bama tradition. That's it for the reign of terror. Guys, last year when Bama beat the dog shit out of Clemson in the first round of the playoff, it didn't change the world. This isn't a paradigm shift in sport. This just happens to be the latest iteration of two great teams going at it. And what I think is interesting is that I know people say, oh, they want this to be Bama's over because Nick Saban's ruining college football. All right, so everyone who thinks that, I get why you think that. The person ruining college football is Dabo Swinney. Here's why. Every year that Bama's been in these big games, they've had to deal with a coordinator or two leaving for another job, usually distracted or having left early. You notice that Clemson assistants never leave. Clemson is the highest paid assistant coaches in the country. They're paying their defensive coordinator over $2 million a year. So what Clemson's done is that they've broken college football because if you achieve success, people are going to come poach your talent. That makes sense. That's in every field, right, Kriss? Like you go somewhere, you do a good job, people come try to hire you away. If they can't hire you away, they have to hire the next guys. And lo and behold, the next guys are usually guys that Clemson's going to be playing at the end of the year. They found a market inefficiency and that they're willing to pay more to make their team be good. And that tells you a lot about the values of South Carolina or Clemson, but you kind of have to do that at Clemson because there isn't a lot of in-state talent. And while they've been doing a good job at dipping to Atlanta, they've now proven that they can be a national brand as far as recruiting goes. And that tells you that these assistant prices aren't going down and no one's ever leaving. Bama's the boogeyman, but Dabo may have glitched the matrix. It's not going to be pretty for the next few years. And all these people who think that Bama's done, people have thought that before. Like, it's out before. Did you watch the game at all?
No. I usually do. Something else happened that night, so I didn't watch. I was keeping an eye on the score. I'm not gonna lie, I was actually shocked. I was like, "Oh, man, I'm torn." Like, I kind of didn't want Clemson to win,
right?
But at the same time, I like rooting against Alabama just because that's Joe Scarborough's team, and so anything that Joe Scarborough touches, I fucking hate. So them losing kind of made me go like, oh, okay, his team got ran through. Awesome, perfect. So
let me run you through part of this because part of the weirdness is so you and I, we both like fighting and we both watch people like John Jones who are dominant fighters. This was like watching John Jones get into the ring and forget how to fight. It's when you watch something that's like a machine just completely misfire. It's fascinating. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and that's my thing. It's like my whole thing about Alabama is literally the fact that it's Joe Scarborough's team. I'm one of those people that I love dominant teams. I love teams that will like literally run through everybody and basically be like, you don't deserve to be on the same field as I do, or breathe the same air as we do. Like I love that shit. I'm sorry, like beat me, because in the end of the day, it makes everybody better. I mean, look at the NBA.
Yeah.
This is the year that the Golden State Warriors seem like they're actually vulnerable. And 2 years ago, people were saying like, "Oh man, the Golden State Warriors are ruining the NBA." No, they made everybody better. You have either at some point you're gonna get tired of being beat up like this, and somebody's gonna slip up, and so it makes everybody better. I'm pro dominant. I'm pro dominance. I am. As long as it comes in, as long as everybody's getting a fair chance of being dominant. Yeah, do what you got to do.
Yeah, do what you got to do, and that's how I feel. And that's how I feel about Bama. Like you guys heard me on this podcast last year when Georgia lost. I was just like, at a certain point, it felt like inevitability because that's the Bama machine. Watching this game, and I've watched it twice since on fast forward. No, it's like watching a computer malfunction. It's like, wait, why did they do that? There are things that happen in this football game that make no good goddamn sense. They ran
I didn't see it, but I heard about the fake field goal. And everyone was like, why would you? Like, I know what it was. I saw the how Clemson lined up on defense, and I saw I was like, and everyone was like, why would you fake a field goal against that?
They're running what they call a field goal safe. It's basically your base defense just saying, sure, it's a kick. At that point, someone call a timeout.
Right.
I'll tell you what you're not going to do. You're not going to use the kicker as a goddamn fullback on a defensive lineman. And that's what happened, Kriss. Like I can't explain. Like I've watched a lot of football in my lifetime. I've played a lot of football. I can't adequately explain to you without just calling it a massive systems error. From start to finish. And Bama scored early and they threw that pick early and it looked like, they were in trouble. And then all of a sudden, Trevor Lawrence became Trevor Lawrence. I've talked not great about that kid all year. I thought he was a good freshman, not a great one. But these last 2 games, he showed me the throws that show me why people like Mike Felder were so high on him for so long, because he can make the big-time throws. He was 10 and 15 on third down against Bama. It was absurd. They did nothing on first and second down the entire game. And on third down, they're like, okay, let's go score some points. And that's what they did. And you watch Saban, and like it was one of those things where Saban wasn't even mad. He was just like, I don't know what's happening. It does not compute.
I mean, at some point as a coach, you got to go like, not our day, and just be like, may God have mercy on your souls, guys. You got to play 3 more quarters.
But it doesn't happen. Like you're right, but it doesn't happen generally for Bama, particularly in the second goddamn quarter.
Right.
Like you're like at the second quarter, they couldn't get in from the 1 yard line. You're like, uh-oh. And they missed the field goal. Like, uh-oh. Like, it was all bad. And like, I've looked at this game. I've got the notes in front of me. I've got nothing else to say about it. It's just, it was a fucking beating. And to go back to what I was talking about, Mike Locksley left after the game to become the new head coach at Maryland. He was the OC at Bama. They're now bringing back Steve Sarkisian, who I just got rid of and with the Falcons. They're recycling assistant coaches who couldn't do their job elsewhere now at Bama. Meanwhile, Brett Venables is the richest assistant coach in America, the defensive coordinator for Clemson. And after seeing what he did to Tua, he earned his money. Can't lie. He earned every cent of it. Let's get to your wheelhouse real quick, because over the time we've been away, the UFC rolled out into the car.
Jesus Christ.
No. Let me promo it. And the fight was
okay.
supposed to happen in Vegas. And then something went wrong, and the fight happened in LA. Kriss, can you walk us through what the fuck went wrong?
So, I mean, the long of the short is, because John Jones fucked up before, there was still something in his system, and I'm not going to go into the technical details about how that was. He was technically clean, but it seems like there was, I want to say, a lab error or
Maybe
whatever.
Trace amounts.
It was trace amounts, and every expert basically said that he wasn't using it again, but it was trace amounts from the last time. I still go, that's still his fault for it being in the system to begin with.
You're 100% right.
And any other time, what would have happened would be, and so what happened was, Vegas was like, the Vegas Athletic Commission was like, he can't fight here. And instead of saying, all right, well, we got to postpone the John Jones, whatchamacallit fight. We just got to postpone that, carry on the rest of the card. Dana White and the UFC decide go with the most boneheaded thing I've ever heard in my life is, on like 6 days notice, they changed the location from Vegas to Los Angeles. And if there was ever, like, this entire last year and a half, I will say the UFC and Dana White has been doing everything in their power to prove they don't give a fuck about the fans or the fighters. This was the final fuck you. Because not only was there, so there's two fuck yous here. The first fuck you was to obviously the fans who paid all that money to come out to Vegas. And I mean, they were getting
people fly internationally for these fights, man.
What was the guy he was fighting? Why am I drawing a blank? It was fuck. What? Who was this?
Right now. Give me 1 second.
John Jones. Why? I can't believe. I'm so angry. I'm fucking John Gustafsson.
Gustafsson, yeah.
He's from like Sweden or something like that. He had family flying out. You had fans of his flying to Vegas. So not just regular fans flying over. You had a specific fighter who is from overseas, who has a fan base, who were coming out to watch this fight. Now, granted, if he wasn't going to fight, which everybody knows is, hey, sometimes things happen. You still got weigh-ins.
Right.
You got fighters get injured. You know that sometimes your fighter flying all the way out to the sea might not fight, but you at least know the card is going to happen.
Right.
So the UFC said, yeah, you refunded the ticket price of the ticket, but now people are all bought suites. They set up for parties. They were there for the entire weekend for a fight that never happened because now it's going to happen in LA. And this is not like we changed it 2 months in advance.
Nope.
You changed it within a week. So that's one aspect, right? The fuck you to the fans, which you would think that at the very least Dana White and the UFC would give a fuck about, because that's your bread, that's your money, right? But to me, the bigger fuck you was to all the fighters on the card, all the other fighters on the card, because these are fighters who some of them found out on Twitter that the card was changing from Vegas to LA, and now some people might go, that's not a big deal. No, it is a big deal, because for the first part, a lot of these fighters are paying for their coaching staff to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So they had already booked flights, they had already booked hotel rooms, they already paid for their coaches and stuff like that to be in Vegas, because again, at this point you're within a week of the fight, you're probably already in Vegas.
You're there. You're there. You're on the ground.
You're there already because you don't have time to be flying back and forth doing all this shit when you're in the middle of a weight. Because you're also, here's the other thing, you're in the middle of a weight cut. You're going down to the last minute. You're in the middle of a weight cut. And Dana White and them decide, no, we really want. And Dana White made this whole thing of, we didn't think it was fair to the fighter. We didn't think. I'm like, to one fighter.
Well, let's also be real. This isn't just about the fighters and the fans. You've damaged corporate relationships that have been long-standing in Las Vegas. There are people who are depending on that income, whose books were dependent on that income to start their year, and you screwed them.
But this goes back to something we talked about the last time. Every time we talk about this, Dana White is trying his best. Vince McMahon, and he's failing at it miserably. Because he doesn't understand he does not have what Vince McMahon had. And honestly, I don't think he's as good as a businessman as Vince McMahon was.
Not at all.
And so you're seeing this because I think something else that happened that happened before this that also made me go, fuck the UFC. And I don't think we ever talked about this. They lost DJ.
Oh, we're talking about DJ next. We're talking about DJ.
Okay. We'll save that.
I got DJ added.
Okay, because it's just like I don't understand. I mean, look, I think John Jones is probably one of the greatest fighters we've ever seen in this generation. But what you do is you just delay that fight and you have him fight on the next card. You do not shift everything over for one guy.
To accommodate one fighter, it doesn't work.
Particularly one fighter who has had a history, who has put you in this position because of his own choices. He's the one that had the dirty test. Not this current one, the last one that this is from. He's the one that did that. It's because of him. He's fucked up. He's the one that had the cocaine in the system at one time. Like, this is all on John Jones. You do not, after giving him another chance and doing all this stuff, you do not then sit there and go, all right, you fucked up, but now we're going to reshift our entire plan. But I think this goes into what we're going to talk about next is, I think the Dana White thought that, and I think that to me it's a huge tell as to where the UFC is right now. They don't have anybody else. There isn't. They don't have a name brand fighter anymore. There's gone are the days of the GSPs, the Nick Diaz's, the Anderson Silvas. You don't have those names anymore. John Jones is really the only name they have. He's it. You know, Ronda's off to doing, WWE now. It's like
doing great, by the way.
Right, doing great, by the way. But you don't have that. Mind you, I think he has the talent there, but Dana White has not figured out how to. He got lazy. The UFC got lazy with their talent and forgot how to actually promote these guys. To go into, to go into the DJ thing.
Let's talk about DJ because DJ. So those who don't know, DJ was a lightweight fighter. He was a great fighter, but
flyweight.
Excuse me. Because
they
had no idea how to promote.
Yeah.
And so, as opposed to giving the fights that he wanted, the fights he deserved, he traded him. I think, which I don't know.
So this is what happened. First of all, I want to say I am more and more convinced that DJ's last fight got thrown, and not by DJ. I think I honestly believe he got robbed. There was no way that Cejudo beat him. But because DJ did not want to play ball and did not want to take the super fight with TJ Dillashaw, I think Dana White found a way to make sure that DJ lost his fight, and then they traded him to one FC. They traded the best pound for pound fighter. I'll put it this way: I love John Jones. John Jones is probably the best pound for pound fighter right now that UFC has right now. DJ is what John Jones is, just clean, and smaller. That's it. That's it. He's a better fighter, I think. I think he's a more well-rounded fighter, and he's clean. And Dana White had no idea how to promote that because Dana White is all hyper-masculinity, and he thinks the way to promote a fight is by doing that, and that's not DJ. Mm-hmm. Mind you, DJ's now over at ONE FC doing promos with Fortnite, and because DJ's a huge online gamer, and I'm like, oh my God, Dana White, you didn't understand that you have a fighter here who's a huge online gamer. You could have gone the whole Fortnite route and got a whole other generation of kids interested in your game because you're going to bet on DJ. He never understood that.
Right.
So you never promoted him saying DJ doesn't sell fights. Well, you don't promote him. But it's not just that. He's doing the same thing with Tyron Woodley right now.
Yeah.
It's like all this stuff, like the talent is there for the UFC to have the next Anderson Silvas, the next GSPs and things like that. Dana White has no idea how to promote these guys. And he's such an ass. Like, Dana White was needed when the UFC first started because you needed that brash.
You need carnival barker.
You needed that guy. Now you need somebody with actual fucking skill and tact and some kind of subtlety to him. And Dana White has none of that. Dana White will talk shit about a guy like Ben Askren for years and years and years. Then when they go through this trading thing, 'cause I think that's who got traded to UFC for DJ from ONE FC. They traded Ben Askren they traded DJ for Ben Askren. Now all of a sudden Dana White's all over Ben Askren. I'm like, dude, we can literally go to your tweets and see all of your times you talk shit about Ben Askren saying he was a boring fighter and would never be in the UFC. That was you.
And that's what putting on ONE FC is going to be doing, I guess, in DJ's first fight. They're tying it to his esports. Like, they're tying the promotion to what he loves.
I'm all about ONE FC now and find out what because it seems like they seem to be making a lot of moves, and I would not be surprised if they start making a real run for it because they started overseas. They're big overseas, and I think that's going to be the next market. And Dana White and them have never really been able to break out overseas like that. So at least not in Asia, they've never been able to really do that in the Asian markets. And I think that's where ONE FC is in right now, and I think that's gonna be huge for them. And yeah, I think seeing some of the fighter reactions to how the UFC treated them when they moved, because again, this is not the first time the UFC has screwed over the other fighters. Remember, they brought McGregor back after he literally got fighters injured in that bus incident.
Lost everybody.
So this is the second time that they've bet on one of their because again, there's always been an accusation against Dana White for favoritism, and you literally have favoritism with McGregor and now with John Jones that has literally been at the detriment of other fighters. The UFC is really, really close to losing some really great talent because all ONE FC has to do is go, we treat you guys better. Well, we're our fighter company over here. Come to us. Leave Dana White alone. Leave the UFC alone. And shit, even Bellator decides to go that route. Like, UFC could be in trouble. I'm really interested in seeing what the numbers are looking like right now. I think they're probably down.
Well, let's also look at what also happened at UFC 232 right before the end of the year when, John Jones won his belt back, but more importantly, Amanda Nunes obliterated Cyborg. Like, 51-second knockout Cyborg. And for those of you who don't understand the impact of this, Cyborg was the person who everyone said Ronda was scared to fight. The woman who held the belt before Cyborg abdicated the title rather than fight her. She was basically the boogie woman. And now Amanda Nunes came in, scorched the goddamn earth, and we're back with another fighter who I don't think Dana knows how to promote.
Oh, he doesn't. No. Here's the thing. First of all, Cyborg was women's MMA before Ronda Rousey's name was even mentioned, right?
Cyborg's terrified. Cyborg is terrified.
Cyborg is the reason why Gina Carano does movies now. She retired Gina Carano.
100%
I mean, I'm not lying. She really did. She beat because Gina Carano was the Ronda Rousey before Ronda Rousey, right? And Gina Carano was running through people, and then she came up against Cyborg. Cyborg beat the snot out of Gina Carano, and Gina Carano stopped doing MMA. All right. So Cyborg, so you have, Amanda Nunes now, who has literally run through legends in women's MMA. She is not just run through them, she has destroyed them. She destroyed Ronda Rousey. She destroyed Cyborg. And once again, we're sitting here with a great fighter because before this fight, I remember because Amanda Nunes had an issue and she had to back up a fight, and Dana White talked all this shit about Amanda Nunes, right?
Right.
Now he's stuck here with a fighter who is literally retired to women's MMA legends easily, and how's he going to promote her? Because here's the other thing too. To put it this way, the fight between John Jones and Gustafsson was not originally a title fight, but it was still the main event.
Right.
Meanwhile, you had Amanda Nunes and Cyborg. That wasn't. They were in two different weight classes. That technically is a super fight. They had the super fight as the co-main event. It wasn't the main event. So right there, it tells you that Dana White had no intention since Ronda Rousey is gone to promote women's MMA. That right there should tell you that, because honestly, that should have been the main event. It really should have been. In any other card, it would have been a main event. The only reason why Jones versus Gustafsson was a title fight is because literally the week before, Cormier gave up the belt. Like, people don't understand how like, when you look at the stuff and look at what's happened here and look at the bullshit that they're doing behind the scenes, you're like, this is a mess. It wasn't going to be a title fight until a week before. And then and that's another reason why they moved. They probably moved it because, like, oh, we just made it a title fight. Well, now we got to move it. Like, it's just, you're right. But Amanda Nunes is another one who now is like, who's next for her? Who has the UFC promoted in women's MMA to be next, and to how are you going to promote Amanda Nunes? Oh yeah, she's baddest woman on the planet. Are you going to give her the same deal you gave Ronda Rousey? Are you going to be following around like Ronda Rousey? Oh no, honestly, you're not doing that.
I would just give her that title and then let her be her, because that's a marketable title. You've already used it once. She's done what she's done. Like, you can, if you can't market destroying Cyborg in 51 seconds, you don't deserve to be doing this.
But that's the problem. They only market. My problem is they only market people like her, DJ, Tyron Lee for their next fight. When it came, but think about how they did Ronda. Right, when they did Ronda Rousey, when you did when you had GSP, it was way beyond just their next fight. It was like they were the face of the company. They were everywhere. You market them everywhere you went. They're not doing that with these fighters, and they're going, well, oh, they don't sell. Well, because you're not selling them. Yeah. You're not trying to sell them. You're not even trying to. It's the one piece of his whole trying to emulate Vince McMahon that he doesn't fucking understand. It's like, no, if Vince is going to push somebody, they're everywhere.
Hulkamania was big, but not just because Hulk Hogan's a great in the ring wrestler. It's not true. He's a great character. Vince knew how to push him, and he had Gene Okerlund holding the damn microphone. There is a system in place. Like, unless you have that system and that confidence in the system, he's going to get to these people and say, I don't know what to do, and throw his fucking hands up. And then we're left holding the bag like, well, why do you want us to buy these fights? And that's not, without going into the new ESPN Plus fan promotion with the CJ Dillashaw fight. Like, I don't know why they think I would get ESPN Plus to watch these fights.
Oh, I know. I love it. It's the whole Cejudo versus, like, right now they're running a Facebook ad to promote Cejudo for this Dillashaw fight, and I retweeted it, I put it on my Facebook, and goes, they're using promo to push Cejudo using clips from his last fight, saying like he beat the unbeatable champ, and I'm like, the clips you use, basically, if you watch those clips, you think DJ won the fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Because
it's crazy. Because there's not enough clips of Cejudo actually dominating DJ to make it look like he should have won that fight. So you literally look at and it wasn't just me saying it. You look at the comments, everybody in the comments goes, by these clips, it looks like DJ won the fight though. And so I'm like, what are you guys doing? But this is also why, you know, when John Jones' next fight is? No. I want to say it's next month, because he's got a quick turnaround. They're going to try to run John Jones into the fucking ground. Because they have to. Because they have nothing else. They have nothing else. They are. Let me see when his next fight is. I want to say it's already. I'm like, well, why is this a quick turnaround? Why is he fighting so soon? They don't have it. I don't have it here. I want to say, yeah, no. Let me see. John Jones' next fight. Yeah, he's fighting. I want to say he's fighting in February.
That's
he's fighting really in 235. He's fighting in
really fast.
I'm sorry. It's not February. It's March. It's March 2nd. Still kind of fast. He just fought. It's still kind of fast.
Not great.
March 2nd. Yep. As long and he's fighting Anthony Smith. And I'm just like, why are you guys pushing him so fast? Like, mind you, we haven't had. I don't know when the last time we had a heavyweight championship fight. And welterweight has basically been Woodley, and they're literally trying to get Woodley out. Dana White is hoping Woodley loses.
He really wants him out of the UFC, doesn't he?
I guarantee you, once Woodley loses, don't be surprised if Woodley goes over to ONE FC. Don't be surprised.
ONE FC might be the thing to watch in 2019, y'all. This UFC's unraveling at a speed with which I didn't expect.
It's because
it's happening way faster than I thought it would.
They were innovative, and now they're not. This is what happens when you stop innovating and you start resting in your laurels. And Dana White doesn't seem to understand that. Yeah, dude, no. Other people have caught up to you. Man. Doesn't get it.
Well, another team that has people catching up to them right now is the Boston Celtics. For those of you who don't remember, last year they were one game away from making the NBA Finals. This year they're settled into right now, I think it's the 6th seed, the Orlando Magic on Saturday night. Kyrie Irving said this: the young guys don't have what it takes to be a championship level team, what it takes every day. And if they think it's hard now, what do they think it's going to be like when we're trying to get to the finals? If I remind you, Kyrie Irving left the Cavs, demanded a trade even, because he was tired of being the little brother to LeBron James. Now he's giving a lot of big brother advice. Is this him kind of realizing what he had, or is this, you think, more just like hypocrisy? Because the age gap between LeBron and Kyrie is not as big as Kyrie and the rest of these kids. So does it come off as the guy who won a title and knows what he's talking about, or does it come across as someone talking about what it's like to win with LeBron?
I think he thinks he's Uncle Drew right now because he really knows some Uncle Drew shit. I don't know. Here's the other thing too. It's like, I don't know. I guess he's realizing that maybe he should have stayed, and it's not as easy as he thought.
Yeah, because it's not as easy. It's hard. It's hard to win, especially at a consistent level. As we talked earlier, being a dominant team is difficult. People are going to get tape on you. And Kyrie went on to explain last year there were no expectations. They had lost Gordon Hayward. Kyrie went down. They kind of played free and loose. And now you watch these games and you're like, and I've been saying this before the season started, they've got to move some of these pieces. And I know that everyone loves these young players, but someone's got to move because there's just a log jam on this team. There's no continuity. And Gordon Hayward's finally rounding into form, but now whose minutes does he take? So when people say, oh, the Warriors are bad or so-and-so is bad, nah, man, dominant teams are good because guess what? Nothing's dominant forever. Nothing's static. There are too many variables. Everyone's pointing at James Harden and his recent streak of a record-breaking streak of 30-point games. They just lost Clint Capella, their number one frontline defender, for 4 to 6 weeks with a thumb injury. He's going to need 40-point games for them to stay in the playoff hunt because the West is that vicious. Yeah. You've got the Warriors over here saying, oh, Boogie's coming back at the end of in January. We don't know how Boogie's going to fit in there. We imagine it'll be well because that's what the Warriors do. We don't know. And they took a flyer on Boogie. And now they could come out and destroy people. Hell, last week, Klay Thompson scored 43 points and dribbled the ball 4 goddamn times.
That was absurd. I saw that video. That video, and I'm like, look, you can count the Golden State Warriors out if you want to. Like, I've been so busy with other things. I've really been out of loop with sports, and I usually just really watch sports when it comes playoff time, right? Of course. Particularly basketball. And so, like, I've been seeing a lot of people say, "Oh, the Warriors are finally in trouble and forward in trouble." But then every now and then I see highlights like this was like, yeah, because Steph Curry just scored 50 points in 3 quarters, or Klay Thompson scored 43 points using only 4 dribbles. I'm like, they're fine. They're fine. They'll be okay. It's like, come playoff times, we'll see what happens. But I'm like,
see what happens. But like last year, they got pushed to 7 by the Rockets without Chris Paul. Like the gap between, you're right, the gap between the rest of the league and the Warriors is not as big as people think it is.
Right.
But at the same time, like, 4 points on 4 dribble.
Well, the other thing too is, aren't they like second in the West or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do. Like the way I'm hearing people talk about that, I thought, oh, maybe they're not even going to make the playoffs. Now looking at it, like the way people talk about the Houston Rockets versus the way that people talk about the Golden State Warriors, I thought Houston was the number 1 team, and the Rocket and the Warriors were like in the 6th seed. Then look at the standings, I'm like, wait, Houston's like the 7th seed, and oh, niggas. God,
as of this recording, Golden State is a half game out of first place because the Denver Nuggets are amazing. And Jokic, I could talk about all day. And the Rockets are sitting in the 6th slot, 5 seconds. And that's the thing about the West. It's so tight. They're only 5 games out of the first. Exactly. The Lakers are 7 games out and still in the 8th seed without LeBron playing the last 10 games.
Right. Like, guys, calm down. Like,
Everybody relax.
Right, just everybody relax. Let's see where the chips fall when we get close to the end of this. Because of the thing, too, guys, we haven't even hit All-Star break.
Yo, I'll tell you what. The one thing I am nervous about for the West is Capella's injury could be real. Like him not being on the court for them and not being an interior presence. They lost a lot defensively when they lost the players in the offseason. But this Capella loss, there's no one on that team really playing defense, and we'll have to see how they pick up from there.
Defense. Talking defense. Talking.
Hey man, you're in the 6th seed. You got to make some stops, baby.
Yeah.
Talk more NBA as the season rolls, but I've got to talk about the Shield, the NFL. I was laid up all weekend, so I caught mostly highlights. But these playoff games. First, before we get to this weekend's playoff games, I want to talk about last weekend's playoff game because I wasn't here for that. The Bears lost in the kicker, and the kicker went on Good Morning fucking America.
What? To do what?
It's the most brazen shit I've ever seen in my entire. That kicker, whatever his name is, it doesn't matter because guess what? You're a kicker. And if everyone's going, if you're going to tweet me, kickers matter, sure they do. When they miss kicks, that's when they matter. That's when I learn your name. Don't make me learn your name. If I'm a Bears fan, that man can't set foot in that city.
Well, I'll also say kickers. You only know kickers' names 2 times. One, when they miss kicks, or 2, where they're literally the leading scorer on the team.
Nah, see, when they're leading scorer on the team, you'll forget about that. The people remind you the name. I'll never forget the name of a kicker who missed one.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you miss one, your name is seared into my soul. No, this cat, look. Kickers, I know you guys are important. You guys, it's a very high-pressure job. I'm talking to all the kickers out there. If you miss a big kick, don't go on national television. Because I know Kobe Parkey's probably not coming back to Chicago. He may never kick in the league again.
What was he saying? I didn't.
Okay, so when he missed the kick, he didn't get frustrated. He immediately dropped to a knee and praised the Lord because that's what some athletes do. And I guess the question was, how did you remain so? It was so weird. He didn't belong there. But that tells me he's got a pretty decent agent who's like, your career may actually be over. So let's start with the motivational speaking today. His coach came out today and Matt Nagy was not happy this shit happened. He was like, they asked him about the kicker. They asked him about Cody Parkey by name. He says, it's a position we'll have to address in the offseason, which means he ain't coming back.
Oh, yeah, you're not.
It's a wrap. No, what about my exit interview? You know what the interview's going to say. Get out. You know what I was going to say. Leave. And guess what? That's fair. Because you know what? He had one job. He missed 11 kicks in the season, and the last one he missed just happened to send him to, home. NFL coaching searches are all happening. A lot's being made, finally, of the dearth of minority coaches. We saw a lot of coaches get fired, specifically in Arizona Steve Wilkes after one season. And you had people on Twitter kind of asking the question now, and I'm happy about it, the conversation starting. Mina Kimes pointed out that 2 out of 32 coaches are black versus 70% of the players. It's not hyperbole, it's just numbers. If you don't think any social cultural factors play any role in disparity, then why do you think it exists? And then you got a lot of people on her mentions telling on themselves. First things first, Mina Kimes has the smartest football podcast I listen to on the regular. It's the Mina Kimes show. It's on ESPN. She and other female sports writers who talk about football in an intelligent manner or in any manner, they work so much fucking harder than the men because I'm able to lean on the fact that I played. I don't have to stay up to date on the latest trends. I don't have to stay up on the latest terminologies. I can go back to the roots of when I played. And that's what a lot of announcers do. Mina Kimes was talking about blocking, I think it was win percentages off the offensive line, a stat I'd never heard of on her podcast. So I'm telling you right now, if you're one of those people who says women should talk about sports, you're listening to the wrong podcast. If you're looking for a podcast that talks more about specifically about the X's and O's of football, go listen to hers. It's great. It's fucking great. And she makes a great point, Chris. We're looking at a league that, she said, 70% black. We've got 2 black head coaches, and the new black head coaches they're bringing in to look to work in Miami. Miami's openly said that they're not tanking. They're preparing to draft a quarterback in 2020, which tells me he's going to be the one-year fall guy. Hi, Steve Wilkes. This year. I don't think that we're going to come to a solution on this anytime soon, but even someone on the outside looking in and knowing what this league is and what it stands for, this has got to be one of those easy layups for the league to to bring in more minority candidates. This is ridiculous.
I'm gonna be honest. This just makes it easier for me not to watch the NFL. I mean, honestly, I other than my dad watches on the weekend, so every now and then if I go down to the kitchen, he's watching. I'll catch a few minutes here and there, but I don't watch the NFL, and it has not been hard for me because unlike you, I'm not doing a podcast on the stuff, so I don't need to like keep up. So it's actually been a lot easier than I thought, and especially with social media, I can still keep up on everything because everybody talks about it. You even get the videos of shit happening.
No.
So it's like I don't need to watch, and it's shit like this is. I mean, there's a laundry list of things of why, but this is another reason why. It's just like, yeah, like what was it LeBron said didn't LeBron say that somebody that they're the slave owner?
The slave mentality.
The slave mentality? Not wrong.
No, he's not. And I think that it's really interesting because when they talk about we're losing fans, which by the way, the ratings are up. They're not losing fans, not losing eyeballs, not losing ticket sales. But they say that in an effort to keep the racists. Meanwhile, people like you and me, like you don't watch because you have good sense. I watch because I'm a goddamn junkie. But if I wasn't a football junkie, you're right. Walking away would be super easy. It just seems like they only think $1 is green, and it's not the black one. And it's very interesting and very, very telling. I think we're gonna stay in the NFL for a second. Mike, you don't know who these people are, and that's fine. John Gruden, who is, for those Raiders fans who are keeping track, has 9 more years and $90 million more to be paid by your organization.
Oh no, I know. I've been following this story. Oh no. I've been watching. No, look, like I said, I don't watch the NFL, but I follow this, and I think that John Gruden might be on some he's pulling the Allen Houston of the NFL.
It's amazing. It's so good. And so, for those of you who don't know, John Gruden rolled into Oakland. They gave him all this money, all this time, all this power, and he traded away some of the best players who were stars on playoff teams this year, including C.J. Anderson, who, in his tiny bowling ball self, ran all over the goddamn Cowboys this past weekend. And they went 4-12, and they fired Reggie McKenzie. Reggie McKenzie was a GM there. He was the GM who got them to the playoffs 2 years in a row before they brought in John Gruden. They fired Reggie McKenzie and brought in my favorite talking head in the world, Mike Mayock. Now, he's my favorite talking head because he might be the single dumbest person to talk about football on the television. And they brought him in simply because I guarantee, just like Donald Trump, John Gruden's like, I've seen him on television. He talks good things. And they brought him in. Mike Mayock, in his opening interview, he says, oh, buddy. He said that he knows what – okay, I'm going to read the whole quote because the whole thing's ridiculous. In all honesty, John's got final say if it ever comes to that, and I've got zero problems with that. Mind you, he's the general manager of the team. He's admitting the coach has final say on all decisions. What is your job, sir? The quote continues. Now, having said that, I think we're going to come to a consensus, and I like a little yelling, a little screaming, a little fighting for what players you believe in. But at the end of the day, I guarantee you, John Gruden and I are going to know what a Raider looks and smells like. Kriss, this nigga's employing the sniff test. That's his grand scheme. Like, you understand that in the year 2019, a GM and a coach, they have to evaluate things and do marketing efficiencies and find – he's going to be sniffing niggas.
I need
Keep in mind, the Raiders also have nowhere to play next year. They have no agreement in Oakland, and the stadium in Las Vegas isn't built yet. They have nowhere to play next year. It is currently January 14th.
See, this is why I can't. I'm not really good. I can't really be an interviewer with things like this, because my obvious follow-up question would have been, so what does a Raider smell like?
How that's not the follow-up is amazing to me. I know Steve Levy, ESPN has a good job. He doesn't want to risk that shit, and you've got ongoing responsibilities. I understand that. Steve Levy, what's a Raider smell like? Natural follow-up. And this is, you got to remember that he gutted this team this year, Gruden did, with a GM who was actively opposing him. Now you get one who's literally coming and said, well, I'm intending to lick John's boots as clean as I can get them. And this is what's going to happen. And I, for one, am here for it because Raiders fans, you kind of deserve it. We're going to talk quickly about the NFL. Actually, I'll wait till next week to talk about coaching carousel. Let's talk about the divisional round that happened this past weekend. the Patriots demolished the Chargers. And I know a lot of us talked about earlier and saying, oh, the Patriots are kind of done. It's the dynasty is over. Guys, the Chargers flew cross-country twice in 2 weeks with an aging quarterback to play in the snow. They were always going to get their heads kicked in. Sony Michel, however, showed out with 3 touchdowns in his playoff debut, over 100 yards in the first half. It's the first time either of those things have ever been done in NFL history. He's a damn good dog. Staying with damn good dogs, Todd Gurley and the Rams beat up the Cowboys. And I know Cowboys fans listen to this podcast. I hope you're sitting down because I need you to realize that the 3 principles of your offense, Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, and Amari Cooper, none of them were alive the last time the Cowboys won a road playoff game. None of them. This is who you are. Mediocre at best. Because you couldn't run against the Rams, you couldn't pass against the Rams, and they beat the dog shit out of you with Todd Gurley, another damn good dog, and CJ Anderson, another Raiders cast off. Thank you, John Gruden, for making my life that much more fun. Just so much stupidity coalescing in one place. The Chiefs beat the absolute doors off the Colts. I'm a little worried what's going to happen this next weekend. We'll talk about it in a second. And lastly, the last half of the NFC playoffs, and this is actually a plea. We cannot have the Saints win the Super Bowl in Atlanta. You're giggling. I have to live here, man. They'll burn down the fucking city, Kriss. So let's just do this right now. The worst case scenario for me is Patriots Saints in Atlanta. I will no.
I don't even know why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you
even to move? I live here.
No, what I'm saying is why are you even bringing this up? Because now you know by saying it's gonna happen.
Because I've got to prep for it. Would you rather be blindsided by this shit? I wouldn't.
If I was you, I would just pretend like I don't know what anybody's talking about.
That's like being on the train. Just like I don't see the train. I don't see the train.
I think that might have been the thing you need to do.
If I'm getting hit, I want to see that son bitch coming. This is Kriss. And the thing about it is, looking at these 2 teams, looking at these 2 games next weekend, the Rams one I feel better about. I feel better about I think the Rams, particularly when they get up on scores on people, it's easier for their defense because they've got such good pass rushers that they're able to key in. You don't do that on Breeze very often, but maybe you can. I think there's a way there. The Patriots shit. Look, I think Patrick Mahomes has been great. And I think Patrick Mahomes has been special. I think beating Tom Brady in the playoffs is a different thing. And I know people will try to count them out. And we saw what happened last weekend. And I am legitimately nervous that we're getting Pat Saints. And if so, I'm allowing myself to leave the state. I think I'll take a sabbatical and go to some other neighbor. I'll go to Florida. No, maybe not Florida. I'll go somewhere else for a weekend just to avoid it because I don't want these things to happen in my life. Before we get out of here, I have one more story to talk to you about. It's a player who didn't play in the national title game, but is somehow running both the MLB and the NFL right now. Because this afternoon, Kyler Murray of Oklahoma, the Heisman winner, announced that he would be entering the NFL draft. This is interesting because he's already collected $5 million from the Oakland Athletics as a signing bonus to go play in their farm system. Now, he's been told that it'll be a first-round draft pick, making him obviously pay more up front. MLB has now done something crazy. And when I say crazy, let me explain. The MLB is not only they've had sit-down meetings with him saying how they're going to change the rules to pay him more up front to convince him to play baseball. Kriss. They brought in the marketers to be like, oh, we can come in and here's how we're going to market you. And here's hoping that no one tells him that the NFL players can also sign endorsement deals. The number he gave them is $15 million. And guess what? The A's, the Billy Bean, the top brass, and the MLB are all trying to keep him. If there's one moment in time that I could use to crystallize what's happened with baseball, this is it. Because let's be real here. If he makes the bigs, baseball contracts are guaranteed. They're for more money and they're for longer. He's less likely to suffer serious career-ending injury or CTE playing baseball.
That's literally where I was going with it. I was literally thinking the same. It was like, if he plays his cards right, he could fleece them.
But that's it. So when you declare for the NFL draft, you have 72 hours to back out. He's created a leverage point unlike we've ever seen in sports. Part of that is because So, getting to some boring red tape stuff. When the NFL's new CBA came out in 2010, I believe, part of it was the slotted draft picks. You had the slot where you get paid. Before, they could have taken him in the third round and then paid him a bunch of money up front. You can't do that anymore. So, a team that wants him has to take him in the first round and has to pay him accordingly. He now has leveraged the NFL against baseball. And my thing is, even if you're, let's say, and I think that Kyler Murray, I think he could be a fine NFL quarterback. I think that he is a smaller, with a weaker arm than Patrick Mahomes, which worries me because 5'9" is still 5'9". But if he can get on the bus and ride to these shitty podunk towns with $15 million in his pocket, it's not a bad idea.
Do what you do it. I'm all for these players getting their paychecks and getting their money. Like, I'm telling this kid, do what you got to do.
But also, like, with all those things being factors, the bottom line for me is, as a 22-year-old kid or 21-year-old kid, the appeal of being a quarterback in the NFL is a much higher appeal than riding a bus in fucking podunk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if let's say that, he's never going to be a guaranteed first starter, he's not going to get a second cool. That first contract, NFL first round draft pick, matters more than the 9th overall pick of the Oakland fucking A's. It just does. Your Q rating goes up. People know Kyler Murray not because of his baseball playing. We know he plays baseball because it was a factoid while he's playing football. And that's where the sport has fallen to. And I know there's some baseball apologists who say, oh, no, dude, I don't know if you saw this. There was a woman on the Oakland A's SB Nation site who went nuts when she heard that he was thinking about football. She cussed him out, wished him injury and all this shit, real ugly shit. She ended up getting fired behind it. But, like, baseball people, you know what you are, right? Like, this isn't a surprise, is it? If I'm a baseball fan, I know what the Q rating of my sport is. That's great. And if you have the opportunity to be an NFL quarterback or a baseball outfielder, I mean, get your money no matter what. And I think that's what he's going to do. Kriss, I'm not going to let you plug anything. I don't want you to.
I love you. I love you too, man.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll be back next week with a brand new UD pod. And I'm going to leave everyone with an incontrivable truth at the end of every podcast from now on because it's a unanimous decision. This week, fuck R. Kelly. That's your show. This is your outro. See you guys next week.